Fallout Equestria Survivors Guilds, Chapter 8, Part 2. Timber, as it turned out, was a portly-looking earth pony stallion dressed in a pinstripe suit and smoking a cigar. He leered at me and Arclight as we entered, which just made me cringe. I hated this guy from the minute I saw him. "So, the NCR wants Cherry Blossom for some sort of mission, do they?" he asked as he took a drag on a cigar. "She's very popular amongst the mares that come from my fine establishment. You know, what's in it for me if I let her go?" "The NCR will be willing to compensate you, of course," Henry offered. "We will be willing to pay you any caps to make up for your lost profits." "Lost profits are an understatement," Timber said. "That mare knows tricks my other girls couldn't dream of. It's all about repeat business here, and if I lose one of my best girls for even a few days, I'll lose more than just a few caps." I really hated the stallion. Calling him sleazy was an insult to sleazy ponies. I had no idea how Cherry Blossom came to work for him, but I was starting to get the impression that it wasn't entirely of her own free will. When I looked at Arclight, she looked equally disgusted, and Henry didn't exactly look thrilled either. This was going to be a hard sell, and I was afraid to ask what he'd want in return for us getting Cherry Blossom. Now, of course, if you were to offer me a more physical incentive... Oh, dear Celestia, I really didn't want to know what he meant by that. And he was looking right at me too, and I was suddenly very glad that I couldn't see his lower body behind his desk. "You know, we heard Winter Breeze's broadcast too, and I'll bet anything that you're Scootaloo. There's a lot of ponies out there who would love to have their way with the vice president of Stable Tech for what she did. Give her to me for a few days, and..." "Oh, Celestia, he went there. He went there."
"No, that's out of the question,"
I said at the same time Henry did. "Shame. I was hoping that we could make a deal. Oh well. I guess you won't be getting Miss Blossom then," Timber said as he leaned back in his chair. There had to have been another way to do this. Wait. He was interested in profits and his bottom line, right? Maybe there was another way after all.
"So, you said that you heard Winter Breeze's speech, huh?"
I asked, and the stallion nodded simply.
"So, you're probably thinking that you can make a deal with the Enclave, maybe let them have some of your girls whenever they want, and they'll leave you alone and let you keep your little, business, right?"
"Well, of course. That's how this world works, isn't it? I do something for them, they do something for me," Timber said as he blew a puff of smoke on me. "So, what's your point?"
"So, the Enclave despises ponies like you, Timber," I said with a smirk. "You're nothing more than a two-bit criminal to them, and they'd never make a deal like that with you. You're scum to them, a peddler of flesh, no better than a slaver in their eyes. If you're lucky, they'll just execute you on the spot, and that's if you're lucky."
"Now the NCR on the other claw," Henry continued, and she got the idea quickly enough. "We may not exactly like your practice, but a lot of our soldiers like to use places like this to blow off some steam. I'm sure a few have passed through your doors since the embassy opened up." "Oh, you have no idea. Even that ambassador of yours came here a couple of times," Timber said.
"But of course, that's only because it's allowed," Henry continued. "I'm the ranking military officer in Reno at the moment, which means I can prohibit all NCR troops from visiting your establishment." "What'll that do to your bottom line?" Ark asked with a smirk. "In addition, I'll post 2 rangers outside to discourage citizens from entering your business," Henry added. "So, what do you say? Give up one mare or risk completely going out of business?" That's blackmail," he said with a growl. "Call it what you want. The NCR may not have control over Reno, but we don't have to let our citizens come here," Henry said. "So, what do you say?"
Fine, take her," he finally relented. "But if you ever set hoof in my place again, I'll make sure that you regret it."
"Oh, we already do,"
I said with a groan.
"We already do."
"I really have to hate dealing with ponies like him," Henry said with a groan as we headed towards the room Cherry Blossom was in.
"Are there many ponies like him in Reno?"
"Well, most of the town is a criminal of some sort. This place is a wretched hive of scum and villainy," Henry said. "If you believe the rumors, the real power in Reno is a griffin named Galvez. Has his claws in everything."
"So, why does the NCR stay here?"
I asked.
Reno is the hub for important trade routes to the west and north. We have to keep our interests maintained here,
she replied with a shrug.
I will see you tomorrow,
Zebra Mare said with a wink as she stepped out of Cherry Blossom's room. When she saw us, she blushed and galloped off.
What was up with that?
Ark asked as we entered the room, and Cherry looked up at us from the bed.
She's Carnelia,
the mare said as she got up.
And she's a closet lesbian, she doesn't want to get it out. Wait, why not?
Ark asked curiously.
There's nothing wrong with being in love with mares, is there? Oh, well, of course not,
Cherry said as she started gathering her things together.
At least to most ponies and zebras, but the Carnelia, they believe that life is sacred. They generally frown upon any relationship that wouldn't produce viable offspring.
She finally slipped into her stable barding and hooked up the pitbuck to her leg.
So, I've heard that you three got me out of my job here. Thanks for that, really. But I'm not sure where to go from here. Oh, well, we're getting some ponies together to investigate what's going on in Stable 48.
I said as Cherry finished checking her pitbuck.
So, if you can help us get there, we can keep you safe, and then after that you can go wherever you want in Equestria.
The NCR will help with that, Henry added. I guarantee it.
Well, it sounds like you're going through a lot of trouble just for me,
Cherry said and then shrugged.
Well, it beats working for Timber at least, but please promise me that you'll keep me and my baby safe. I promise,
I said.
Nothing will happen to either of you.
Cherry looked at me for a long moment before nodding.
Okay then, so what's the plan?
We'll be staying in town tonight and strike out for 48 in the morning, Henry said. You'll be staying with these two since we don't have any more room at that embassy.
Alright, that sounds good to me,
Cherry said and looked at me with a smirk and a small wink. Oh dear Celestia, what have I gotten myself into? I yawned as I sat on the bed, removing my coat and hat as I looked at Cherry, who was watching me curiously.
Let me guess, you're wondering how I'm alive,
I said with a sigh.
Really? I'm more wondering why you got me out of that place,
Cherry said.
You just met me today, and you're practically moving Elysium in Equestria just to get me on your team. Like I said, your ancestor was a close friend of mine,
I said as I laid back in the bed.
I lost her. I lost them all in the war, and I felt like I should help you. I was being honest, and you can do whatever you want after we're done in Stable 48. Well, what if I wanted to go back to Timber? Well, do you? Well, I'm a breeder, Scootaloo. I was raised for one purpose. Sex,
Cherry said, which made me cringe. I was starting to really regret that part of the experiment.
If I can't go home, what place do I have in this world? Wait, so you've been out in the world before, right?
I asked, and she nodded.
So, that means that you have some scout training as well, so you know how to survive. You don't have to spend the rest of your life on your back for whatever pony wants you. Isn't that why you left Stable 48, to give you and your foal a different life?
She looked thoughtful for a moment and lay down next to me.
I did, but I don't know. I wound up working for Timber after I paid a visit to the place, and it was the only real opportunity I had in the outside world. Maybe, just maybe, you've given me another one.
With that, she smiled and gave me a light kiss on the cheek, which caused me to blush. Did she take some strange pleasure in teasing me, or was there something more to it than that?
So, thank you, Scootaloo,
she said with a smile as she turned to face the wall.
I'll think about what you said, I promise.
I smiled a little and laid back onto the bed.
Well, you're welcome, Cherry. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Get a room, you two! Some of us are trying to sleep,
Ark said from the other bed with a laugh.
You can make out tomorrow.
I groaned as the younger mare laughed, and I put in my earbuds in and tuned into NCR radio once more to listen to the voice of DJ Pwn 3. Well, it's late at night with your good friend DJ Pwn 3, so let's get one last bit of news in before all my little ponies out there get to bed. As you know, here at NCR Radio, we've got a policy of telling the truth no matter how bad it hurts. And it's that time that the truth fully comes to light. Last year, I became fully aware of the continued survival of one Scootaloo Dash, but I believe that this truth was better left untold until the time was right. So, my little ponies, tomorrow I will be broadcasting the full interview between my assistant, the lovely Zariah, and Miss Dash. Let's hope you're all listening because she's got a lot to say. Now, here's some Sweetie Belle to bring you all to sleep. I smiled softly as the sound of Sweetie Belle's voice filled my ears. I closed my eyes and drifted off to sleep thinking of her. I've dreamed of Ponyville again, not the ruined Ponyville, but the one where the bombs had never gone off. I looked up at the blue cloud-filled sky and smiled as I saw a familiar flash of blue and rainbow colors high above me. I smiled a little when I realized that I felt a warm body against me, and turned my head to see the smiling face of Sweetie Belle.
Hey there, Sleeping Beauty. I'm glad to see that you're awake,
she said and nuzzled me gently.
So, how'd you sleep? Did you have any more of those dreams? Well, it was okay, I guess,
I said with a shrug.
And yeah, I think so. So, sweetie, do you ever wonder why we're here? Well, that's one of life's greatest mysteries, isn't it? Yeah, it is,
I said with a sigh.
Sometimes I wonder if maybe the wasteland I keep seeing is some sort of retribution for what happened to us during the war. We all made mistakes, ponies were hurt, and died. All for what? What kind of legacy are we leaving for our children? Well, I don't know,
Sweetie said softly as she looked at me.
Scootaloo, we did what we had to during the war. I'm not saying what we did was perfect, but it all turned out okay in the end. The treaty after the Kaiser was deposed that Celestia helped negotiate had held for over 10 years. The megaspells are gone, the ministries are dismantled, and the stables will never have to be used. I'd call that a win. Yeah, me too. Let's just hope that we can keep it from repeating the same mistakes,
I said with a soft sigh as I looked at her again with a smile.
I'm lucky to have you, Sweetie Belle. I'm lucky to have you too, Scootaloo Dash,
Sweetie said as she nuzzled me again.
So, I went to talk with a doctor today. Are you okay?
I asked, my ears perking up. I didn't want anything to happen to Sweetie even if this was the dream world.
Scootaloo, I'm fine. Better than fine, in fact,
she said reassuringly.
It worked. The spell worked finally. Scootaloo, I'm pregnant.
I gasped in surprise. Me and Sweetie, we'd always been talking about having a foal together, and I assumed that Cloudy was probably not conceived with magic in this world, but I had no idea that it would ever work.
Really? Really?
I hugged her tight, wrapping my wings and forelegs around her as I started to cry a little. I was gonna be a mom again, and I couldn't be happier. I just wish that this was more than just a dream.
Come on, Rarity is watching Cloudy. She deserves to know the good news,
Sweetie said as we released a hug and started off towards the Carousel Boutique.
Rarity, we're here,
Sweetie said as she opened the door and we entered.
So how did Cloudy behave? Oh, she was wonderful,
Rarity said as she looked up from the dress that she was working on at the moment.
She and Sapphire are just in the next room. Thank you for watching her,
I said with a smile as we headed into the next room.
Anytime, Scootaloo,
Rarity said with a smile.
She's a wonderful filly, and I'm always glad to watch her.
We headed into the next room where Cloudy was playing with a white filly with a long purple mane. I was a little surprised to notice that the filly didn't have only pony traits. In fact, she looked more like a mix of a pony and a dragon. Wait, why was she named Sapphire when she wasn't blue?
Mommy sweetie,
Cloudy said as she ran over and hugged us both.
Hey Cloudy, did you have fun with Sapphire today?
Sweetie asked and we hugged her back.
Yep,
Cloudy said with a smile as I wrapped my wings around the two.
That's good,
I said as we looked at her for a long moment.
We have some good news that we wanted to tell you. You do? What is it? Your mother and I have been trying to have a foal together for a while now,
Sweetie said with a smile.
I just heard from the doctor that it finally worked. You're gonna be a big sister. Yes!
Cloudy said, her wings buzzing happily as she flew around us. It was nice to have my family together, even for a short time. I just wish that it was real sometimes.
Come on, we should go tell your Aunt Rarity and Uncle Spike,
Sweetie said as we started heading out of the room with Sapphire close behind. Wait, Rarity and Spike were together in this dream world? Well, that explained why Sapphire was half dragon. I just didn't think that Rarity felt that way about Spike. It was kind of strange, but I mean, hey, it was just a dream.
And of course, Grandma Rainbow,
I added, and Sweetie nodded in agreement.
I can't believe we're gonna be parents again. Me neither, Scootaloo, but I couldn't be happier,
Sweetie said, and she nuzzled me.
I love you, Scootaloo. I love you too, sweetie,
I said, and nuzzled her back.